is Karl Ajram, and I'm the owner of the 218 Blealock.
No, we're dealing now with the Brook Street.
No, yeah,
Parcel, just so you know.
I own the 218 Blealock, subject one of the application.
Very good, yes.
My nephew lives on Sherman Avenue, across the street. My brother lives on Wilshire. And I stand in the front of the board to say to everyone that whoever complains about parking is one of you here, one of us here, sitting here. We are causing the congestion in parking. I can name a couple of us here, or three of us, that own multi-dwelling unit causing that congestion. If you have septic problem, the capacity of the problem does not meet the requirement of the demographic, it's not the owner of the property problem, it's a development problem. It's poor planning.
Okay. Mr.
We are
Ajram,
responsible for that.
Mr. Ajram, please speak to us. Please
I own piece of property, I'm paying tax as every one of us here sitting on this bench. So please, let's respect each other. Okay, let's make it civilized community. Thank you. Good night.
Okay. All right.
May I say about the parking requirement, the city zoning has a requirement for 2 off-street parking spaces per dwelling, and the plans show that they have those 2 off-street parking spaces per dwelling.
The house at 95 Shore Street, which again is a multi-family house, has 3 driveways. There's 1 car parked in each of those driveways, and still, we have 5 to 6 cars parked on the street. Okay, we have we share a driveway with our neighbor. Each of us, if we have 2 cars, our neighbor has 2 cars, and we park in our driveway. We cannot have guests come over because there's no place to park. There's no place to park. That's not true.
Hang on.
Like, across the street, there's no parking, no driveway, and that's a 3-family house.
Okay. Ma'am?
Ruth Barthelmess, 100 Short Street. Again, the parking is horrendous. There's a house on the corner of Washington and Short. Is it the 3-bedroom house? And Tuesday night when I left here, I counted the cars. There was 7 cars between the driveway, Washington Street, and Short Street. That's for 1 3-bedroom house. I was the one that asked the question Tuesday night if there was any regulations of how many people can reside in a house by the number of bedrooms. And I was told that there is no such rule. But the house across the street, which is the 3-family house, the 1 apartment downstairs, that is rented to supposedly to a single lady, and yet you can count 5, 6 cars there. And this winter, the change in the winter parking rules really did not work well in that area. The plow came down, they had cars on one side of the street, and then they moved them over to the other side of the street, so by the time they got done, the plow couldn't plow either way, and you barely had room for 1 car to go down a street that should accommodate 2 cars, 2-way street. And as far as that sewer, we built our house 50 years ago, and that sewer line was there. And just 2 weeks ago, we had a water main break right across the street from that lot. So there's a problem with that. And I do believe the city comes and cleans out the manhole on Brook Street there every once in a while when things get sluggish. I do believe the city comes with the vacuum truck and cleans out that manhole. So there, is a problem there, and the pipes are old. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to this matter? Okay. I think we can close the public hearing,
Should we make
or maybe we need to talk about it first a little bit.
Well, should we make a comment to the audience about our purview not being with the parking sewers for the three families? We have one small, narrow
Right.
to discuss.
I understand. Well, I think we need to really zero in on what our job is here tonight, which is to assess the appropriateness of this now modified building going onto this 4,000 square foot lot, which is 2,000 square feet less than the zoning code. Which really came a long time after a lot of those lots were divvied up down there. There have been so many comments about the parking, and I understand it, and I think we all heard it. The parking in and of itself is not something that we can address. It's not our job, but you might want to consider getting together and perhaps meeting with with the community policing officer, just in terms of anything that might be able to be done to ease the situation. I don't know when some of those. I know I've been in your neighborhood, so I know you have everything. You have the houses on the 4,000 square foot lots, and you have multi-family houses, and.
Chairman,
I don't know when the houses came to be, but usually in terms of having a C of O, you have to have 2 parking spaces per apartment. So I don't know whether there are any violations that need to be explored, but there are other avenues for that other than the board. So, I think we all heard it, and we can feel for you, but this is not what we do.
I wanted to point out that during site plan review, we can recommend that for both 1242 and 1244, and maybe for Blaylock as well, that there be as many as 3 or 4 spaces on the lot for parking, if the paving plan can accommodate it. And I'm thinking that there's the possibility that there is some room here, depending on how far the house is set back and all. Yeah, and that would happen during site plan.
Down the road.
Right, and the same issue with the height.
Assuming that this goes forward, we haven't gotten there yet.
Right.
So, to the matter at hand, this is a substantial variance. I'm pleased to hear that there's been a modification from a 4-bedroom to a 2-bedroom. It makes
3-bedroom.
Oh, it's 3 bedrooms.
4 to a 3.
It was 4 to a 3.
4 to a 3. 2 might have been better.
Well, but here's the other thing, too, I'd like to point out, Madam Chair. When I looked at the difference in the plans, the difference in the footprint of the house is really only 1 foot less wide. Am I correct? You're still keeping the same depth of the house, correct? Okay. The reason you were able to move the house further south is because you've eliminated the stairwell to the basement.
Right, that was another...
Okay, so you don't have any outside access now under this current proposal to your basement.
Right, that was another recommendation from staff and the planning board that our client has taken upon.
Okay. So, I mean, in terms of the difference in the footprint, we're really only talking about a 40 square foot difference.
Okay.
Just thought I'd point that out. Okay.
Yeah, I'd just like to
that.
point out that no one has discussed the height, and obviously the rest of the houses there are 1-story, and this is a 2-story. So as far as scale and bulk, and that there is a difference in that sense.
But it is a conforming. It would be a conforming structure with respect to the zoning.
Footprint.
Whether under the 6,000 square foot zone, 2.5 stories is the maximum permissible height, correct? Okay. And then, I mean, the one thing that also should be pointed out here, even though there is only that slight difference in footprint, the house, as it's situated, and even as it was situated originally, conformed with respect to front yard, rear yard, and side yards.
And parking.
Right, so it conformed, the only thing that was non-conforming in this particular instance is the fact that it's on a 4,000 square foot lot. It makes it difficult, to say the least, okay? The applicant has tried as best he can, given the lot that he has, to conform to just about every other part of the zoning ordinance that is in place. So, so the question becomes, how much more can we ask this gentleman
The
or
question
the
is,
applicant to reduce
why
the
do you
size of the
care so
footprint?
much?
I don't know. I don't think that's our purview. That's a planning thing.
Well, but it is, but it's not as,
It's a
no,
consideration for the planning commission.
I did not say that. Please don't put words in my mouth, all right? We are only able to act on the variance relative to the size of the lot, not to the scale of the house. That goes back to the planning commission, okay? So if the planning commission further decides, if we decide to grant the area variance, then the planning commission can decide to make this house even smaller, to reduce it by a story, whatever, okay? That is, our goal, our charge is to see what we can do or what we will not do relative to the variance, allowing a building to be built on a pre-existing non-conforming lot.
The other change that, I'm sorry.
You're absolutely correct in terms of what our job is, our obligations. It would certainly be helpful in terms of, going forward, if they're allowed to build, perhaps building something that is more commensurate with the neighbors, so that it doesn't have this massive height and would give you a little more sunlight and things like that. It's not our purview, but it's certainly something that we could potentially think about recommending.
Well, as a recommendation back, because
We
Gene,
don't recommend, okay.
Gene and John,
We can make note that would be something, okay.
we would not recommend, yeah, okay.
Okay,
Right.
so,
Yeah, I would just like to say, I hear your concerns, and I assume that you'll pursue this with the planning commission, because a lot of your concerns really can only be solved by them. Parking certainly is an issue, particularly how parking obstructs emergency vehicles, particularly in the winter. I think that's a very important point to raise, and the blocking of sunlight, because it's immediately to the south of you. Those are all things to raise with the planning commission.
Yes, absolutely.
And well worth
I
raising.
agree it's wholeheartedly with what Mr. Knight has said, and I think we're all in agreement on the board here.
yes. So if we were going to go forward to entertain, and we'll see how it all comes forward, but if we were going to entertain granting the variance, but can we do it? In other words, we can legalize the lot, but certainly not determine what will go on there, the size and shape. Right. We're just saying that the opportunity could be afforded to build,
Correct.
assuming there are no sewer issues.
Well, that was also a site planning issue that would be dealt with by the planning commission.
Right.
Do I have a sense of the board? We want to go forward to,
Should I make a motion?
if you wish,
Well, do we need
absolutely. We have to do.
we need to close the
I'm
public hearing first?
Need a motion to close the public hearing, please?
Move we close the public hearing. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing is closed. So now we get to the business at hand to see if we're going to grant the variance. First, we have to do the type 2 action under secret and then the rest.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I move we call this a type 2 action under secret requiring no further environmental review.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, we're a little more into the.
I hate microphones.
Okay, we just have a motion to deem this a type 2 action under secret.
Second, please.
Seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now there's another motion coming forward.
I move we grant the area variance and the lot width